You've been doing all the right things, or at least you think you have. You're texting them, showing interest, maybe even bending over backward to keep them in your life. But despite all your efforts, you feel like you're getting less in return. You're giving more than you're receiving, and instead of appreciation, you're met with indifference, or worse, distance. Let's be honest. Chasing someone who's pulling away is emotionally exhausting. It drains your energy, wrecks your self-esteem, and leaves you questioning your worth. But what if I told you there's a way to reverse the dynamic? A way to make them miss you without lifting a finger? The secret doesn't lie in more effort, more texts, or more attention. It lies in stopping. It lies in pulling back. This is where Stoicism comes into play, a philosophy that teaches us the power of restraint, control over our emotions, and the strength that comes from valuing yourself first. Today we're diving into the Stoic principles behind what happens when you stop chasing someone. What do they feel? How does it change the dynamic? And how can you come out stronger, more empowered, and yes, more desirable? By the end of this, you'll understand why less is more when it comes to human relationships, and how by pulling back, you can make them come to you. Part 1. The Psychology of Absence. Why pulling back works. Human beings are strange creatures. We don't always appreciate what's in front of us. Sometimes it takes losing something, or the threat of losing it, to recognize its value. When you're constantly around, chasing, available at every beck and call, you're unknowingly diminishing your own value. It's not your fault. It's a natural instinct to pursue what you want. But here's the thing. People don't respond to abundance the way you'd expect. In Stoicism, there's an essential concept called indifference to externals. This means that external factors, whether they're people, relationships, or material things, are outside our control and should not dictate our inner peace or worth. The moment you understand this, you stop chasing, because you realize that someone else's attention or validation doesn't define you. When you stop chasing, something psychological happens. Your absence creates space. It gives the other person time to reflect on what life is like without you constantly there. They begin to miss the small things, the texts, the attention, the emotional energy you were giving. What once felt like an abundance now feels like scarcity. It's in this void that their feelings start to change. They wonder why you've pulled back. Did something change in your life? Are you no longer interested? Did they do something to push you away? Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. Where they once took you for granted, they now begin to question their own actions and choices. Absence truly does make the heart grow fonder, and by pulling away, you give them space to realize what they had. But here's the key. You're not doing this to manipulate them. You're doing this because you finally realized that your worth doesn't depend on their attention. You're reclaiming your power. Part 2. How Stoicism helps you detach and regain control. In the heat of the moment, when someone is pulling away from you, it's easy to get caught up in your emotions. You feel panic, anxiety, and often desperation. You might feel tempted to do more, to send that extra text, to call them again, to remind them of your worth. But according to Stoic philosophy, this is exactly the moment when you need to pause and pull back. The Stoics believed that emotions, when left unchecked, lead to poor decisions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So what does this mean for your situation? It means that you cannot control how someone else feels or responds to you. You cannot force someone to appreciate or value you. What you can control, however, is how you respond to their actions. You can control your emotions, your reactions, and most importantly, your decisions. When you stop looking for them, when you stop chasing, you're telling them, and yourself, that your emotional well-being is not dependent on their behavior. You are no longer reactive. Instead, you are grounded in your own inner strength. This is where true power lies. The minute you stop reacting to their distance, you take back control. You stop feeding the dynamic that leaves you feeling powerless, and you start creating a new one where you're in control of your actions, and they begin to question theirs. Stoicism teaches us that we should strive to be indifferent to things outside of our control. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing your emotions to be dictated by someone else's behavior. By doing this, you regain your peace of mind, and paradoxically, you become more attractive because of your emotional independence. Part 3. The emotional impact on them. What they feel when you stop. Now, let's talk about what they feel when you stop looking for them. At first, they might not even notice. They might be caught up in their own world, their own distractions. But over time, the absence becomes more pronounced. The texts that used to come frequently are no longer there. The attention they used to take for granted is now missing. At first, they might feel relief, especially if they felt overwhelmed by your pursuit. But this relief is short-lived. Soon, a seed of doubt starts to grow. They begin to wonder why you've pulled back. Is there someone else? Have you lost interest? Or have they done something to push you away? This feeling of uncertainty creates emotional tension, and humans are wired to resolve tension. We don't like loose ends, so they'll start checking their phone, wondering why you haven't reached out. They might start watching your social media to see what you're up to. And as more time passes, this feeling intensifies. Here's where it gets interesting. When you were chasing them, they had certainty. They knew you were there, waiting, available. But when you stop, you introduce uncertainty into the equation. And this uncertainty makes you more valuable in their mind. It's like anything in life. When something is always available, we take it for granted. But the moment it's scarce, we want it more. They may not reach out immediately. Pride or ego might hold them back. But rest assured, in their mind, they're starting to miss you. They miss the attention, the validation, the emotional security you once provided. But now, that security is gone. And in its place is a gap they're not sure how to fill. This is the power of pulling back. It creates space for them to reflect, to feel your absence, and ultimately, to miss you. And here's the beauty of it. You didn't have to do anything but focus on yourself. Part 4. Reclaiming your focus. Why self-improvement is key. When you stop looking for someone, it's not just about making them miss you. That's a side effect. The real purpose is to reclaim your focus. For too long, your energy has been tied up in them, worrying about what they think, how they feel, and whether they value you. Now, it's time to redirect that energy toward yourself. The Stoics believed that the only true path to fulfillment is through self-improvement and inner peace. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. So, what does this mean for you? It means that this is the perfect time to focus on your goals, your growth, and your well-being. Instead of waiting around for them to reach out, invest in yourself. Work on your physical health, develop new skills, pursue your passions, and surround yourself with people who uplift you. When you stop looking for them and start looking inward, you become more grounded, more confident, and more fulfilled. And this transformation doesn't go unnoticed. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-assured, who have purpose and direction. The more you focus on your own growth, the more attractive you become, not just to them, but to everyone around you. You see, when you stop chasing someone, you're not just creating space for them to miss you. You're creating space for yourself to grow into the best version of yourself. And that's a win no matter how the situation plays out. Part 5. The paradox of letting go. Why detachment makes you stronger. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning how to let go, but it's also one of the most powerful. The Stoics were masters of detachment. They understood that holding on to things, whether it's material possessions or people, creates suffering. As Epictetus said, "He who is not attached to anything outside his own control has found the key to true freedom." When you stop looking for someone, you're practicing this detachment. You're releasing the need for their validation, their attention, or their affection. You're freeing yourself from the emotional roller coaster that comes from chasing someone who's not giving you what you deserve. And here's the paradox. The moment you let go is often the moment they come back. Why? Because people are drawn to those who are self-sufficient, who don't need them to feel whole. By letting go, you're showing that you're capable of being happy and fulfilled on your own. And this kind of emotional independence is incredibly attractive. But here's the thing. You're not letting go to get them back. You're letting go for your own peace of mind, for your own growth, for your own freedom. In the end, it's about reclaiming your power. It's about realizing that you don't need to chase anyone to prove your worth. Your worth is already there, within you. Part 6. The shift in perception, from pursuer to prize. When you're the one constantly pursuing, you unconsciously send the message that the other person holds all the value. They become the prize you're striving for, and you lose sight of your own worth in the process. But what happens when you stop? When you cease chasing and give them the space to feel your absence? The dynamic flips. Suddenly, they are no longer the center of attention. In the quiet void you've left behind, their perception of you changes. You're no longer the one trying to prove your worth. Instead, you become the person who knows their value and isn't willing to compromise it. This shift in perception is powerful. By pulling back, you create an air of mystery and self-sufficiency. People are naturally drawn to those who don't need them. They find themselves intrigued by your sudden distance. What are you doing? Why aren't you chasing anymore? Have you found something, or someone, more fulfilling? These questions start to run through their minds, and their perception of you evolves from someone who needed them to someone they might now need in return. Stoic philosopher Seneca reminds us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. The time you once spent chasing them was a waste of your own value, but now you're using your time for self-betterment, making them wonder why they didn't see your worth before. You stop being the pursuer, you become the prize. Part 7. The power of patience, letting time work in your favor. One of the hardest things to practice in life, especially when you care about someone, is patience. We want immediate results. We want them to miss us now, to realize our worth now, to come back now. But life, and Stoicism, teaches us that true strength comes from patience. The Stoics believed in the importance of living according to nature, which includes understanding the natural flow of time. As Seneca said, time discovers truth. When you stop looking for them, you must allow time to work its magic. Don't rush the process. Don't check your phone constantly, hoping for a message. Instead, trust that if they're meant to be in your life, they will realize it in due time. Patience is powerful because it shows that you're not desperate. It shows that you are comfortable with whatever outcome unfolds, knowing that you've done everything in your control to be the best version of yourself. The rest? That's up to fate. By practicing patience, you demonstrate emotional maturity. And maturity is incredibly attractive. It shows that you're not just waiting for someone to fill a void in your life, but that you're living fully, regardless of their presence. Over time, they will feel the weight of your absence. They'll start to realize what they're missing, and when that time comes, you'll be in a place of strength, ready to decide whether they still deserve a place in your life. So, what do they feel when you stop looking for them? They feel your absence. They miss your attention, your presence, and your energy. But more importantly, they start to see your true value. And all of this happens because you've stopped chasing and started living by Stoic principles.